Hi, today we will conduct an experiment about heat of vaporization. What is heat of vaporization? Heat of vaporization is the energy required to change a liquid at its boiling point to a gas.
The theory is the amount of heat necessary to change a gram of vapor into liquid at the same temperature is called the latent or hidden heat of vaporization. When liquid changes to vapor, heat is absorbed, and when the vapor is condensed to liquid, the same amount of heat is liberated. In this experiment, the heat of vaporization of water will be determined by method of mixtures.
Our objective is to determine the heat of vaporization. Stove, steam generator, beaker, triple beam balance, thermometer, calorimeter cup and stirrer, ice cubes, dry rag. Fill the steam generator for about 1/3 full of water and place it on a stove for boiling. Perform this first in order for the water to be heated while doing other tasks. Using the balance, determine the mass of the calorimeter cup and the stirrer, and then record. Fill the calorimeter cup about 2/3 full of very cold water. About 5 to 10 degrees Celsius is desirable by the application of ice, and determine the mass of cup, stirrer, and water.
Place the calorimeter cup with water and stir in the calorimeter. Stir the water and determine the temperature to the nearest tenth of a degree. When the water in the steam generator starts to boil, steam begins to come out of the water tubing. Carefully place the end of the rubber tubing in the inner container of the calorimeter through the hole in the top. Watch the temperature in the calorimeter. It will go up quite rapidly. As soon as the thermometer reads 45 to 50 degrees, remove the rubber tubing. Do not shut off the burner until after the rubber tubing has been removed from the water.
Note: the thermometer should always be kept in the calorimeter cup except when the weighing is done.
Stir the mixture carefully, then determine the temperature. This is the final temperature of the mixture. Remove the calorimeter cup, stirrer, and water from the calorimeter housing and determine their total mass. Make the necessary calculations to complete report sheet.
The formula to find the latent heat of vaporization is the latent heat of vaporization is equals to the mass of water times the specific heat of water times the change in temperature in water plus the mass of cup and stirrer times the specific heat of cup and stirrer times the change in temperature of cup and stirrer minus the mass of water from condensed steam times the specific heat of water from condensed steam times the change in temperature of water from condensed steam divided by the mass of steam. Water in its liquid form has an unusual high boiling point temperature. A value rose to 100 degrees Celsius as a result of the network of hydrogen bonding present between water molecules. A high input of energy is required to transfer 1 gram of liquid water into water vapor, an energy requirement called the heat of vaporization. Water has a heat vaporization value of 2260 joule per gram Celsius degree. A considerable amount of heat energy is required to accomplish this change in water. This process occurs on the surface of water. As liquid water heats up, hydrogen bonding makes it difficult to separate the water molecules from each other, which is required for it to enter its gaseous phase or what we call the steam. As a result, water acts as a heat sink or heat reservoir and requires much more heat to boil than does a liquid. Eventually, water reaches its boiling point at 100 degrees Celsius. The heat is able to break the hydrogen bond between the water molecules, and the kinetic energy between water molecules allows them to escape from liquid as a gas. Even when below its boiling point, water's individual molecules acquire enough energy from each other such that some surface water molecules can escape and vaporize. This process is known as evaporation. Applications of specific latent heat in everyday life. Water has a large specific latent heat of vaporization. This property enables steam to be used for cooking by the method of steaming. When steam condenses on the food, the latent heat is released directly onto the food and enables the food to be cooked at a faster rate. Always be careful when opening the lid of a pot when the water in it is boiling. Water has a large specific latent heat of vaporization. When steam condenses on the skin of your arm, the very large amount of latent heat released can cause a serious burn. Here are some questions or problems for you to answer if you really do understand what heat of vaporization. What is the difference between gas and vapor? Why is steam more effective than hot water for use in heating systems? Both heat of fusion and heat of vaporization are often referred to as latent heat. Why?